shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Behave yourselves!
Hello, YouTubers out there. This is Journey Saravia to Movies. So today we're taking a look at something I never expected to happen, and that is the YouTube movie reviewer has become a filmmaker. That's right, Chris Stuckmann, and his directorial debut, Shelby Oaks, is now in theaters as of last week. And I saw it today, and wow, I mean, out of all the horror films I've seen this year, this one is fair. I mean, it's some of it is fairly effective. I'm not going to say it's a great movie because it's not. I wouldn't say it's really that good, but some of it is quite effective, and it shows talent behind the camera. And I think also with writing, although he could show more depth and go a lot deeper than he has in this film. It starts off with some found footage from news reports and everything else of these missing YouTubers. And basically, they are paranormal investigators. They go around doing pretty much what you see all the time, either on regular TV or on YouTube, going into abandoned buildings and looking for ghosts and apparitions and whatever. They are known as the paranormal paranoids, and one of them includes Riley Brennan, played by Sarah Dern, and she is missing along with these other kids, young people involved in looking for paranormal entities of some kind. So they go missing, and the assumption from social media, a lot of people that have been following this group, which suddenly gains in popularity because they are missing, is that it's some sort of prank just to gain attention and blah, blah, blah. And it turns out that most of them have been killed and they are found. But Riley Brennan is missing. Nobody knows what happened to her. So her older sister is Mia Brennan Walker, played by Camille Sullivan, who I've not seen in anything before, but I gotta say, she gives the performance of this film. I mean, she is truly amazing. And I was really invested in her character. And she wants to search for her sister and try to find her. And so at one point, there's a violent situation, which I won't reveal, that happens really in the first 20 minutes in this film. The first 20 minutes is packed with information about these paranormal investigators, and also about Riley Brennan, and they're, everybody's searching for Riley Brennan. Where is Riley Brennan? This is set in the fictional town of Shelby Oaks, by the way, in Ohio, which is where Chris Stuckmann is from. And so there's a violent situation that happens right in front of Camille Sullivan. I'll say that much. And she finds something that you don't see much of anymore, a mini DV tape. And in the mini DV tape, it says Shelby Oaks on it, and there's footage of Riley Brennan. And the question is, why didn't she reveal this footage to the police? It's a good question. The other is that when this violent incident happens, there's blood that sprays on her face. And my first thought while watching this film, I couldn't help it, I was wondering, wait a minute, she's at home when this happens, and the police is there, and they're trying to find her sister, and blah, blah, blah. She never reveals the tape to anybody, which I found interesting. I don't, she just wanted to know firsthand before anybody else knew about it. She keeps it to herself and watches it. But she never cleans her face with all the blood that's sprayed on her face, and I never understood that. At least for the first several hours, she has the blood on her face. Not even her husband, played by Brendan Sexton III, who's been in a lot of films from way back in the day, starting in the 90s, never questions her. Hey, why, what's going on here? Now, the backstory behind Mia is that she tried to have kids with her husband and never managed to have kids. And the loss of her sister really gets to her on a very personal level, which of course it would. But they were obviously quite close. But there was always some sort of demonic entity that Riley Brennan was aware of and always thought was looking at her. And then there are cracks that sometimes happen on her bedroom window. And you see those little cracks and so on. And then Mia really does her own investigation. She talks to the prison warden, who's aware of there was apparently a riot at this prison, and the killer that's eventually revealed in this tape is shown in there. But she wants to find out more. She wants to know what why was this guy, did this guy apprehend her, and where did he put her? Where is she? Is she dead? Is she alive? And so then she begins to think that there was some sort of a cult that kidnapped her, and that's kind of what forms the rest of the film. Um, so I don't want to reveal too much of what's going on, especially a woman that's living in a log cabin of some sort in Shelby Oaks. But you see a demonic entity here and there with glowing eyes. Sometimes you don't quite see it, it's off in the background. Then there are some ravenous dogs with glowing eyes. So it's that kind of a movie. A lot of woodsy locations. I've always said, good or bad, I'm always for stories that are set in the woods. I don't know what it is. I love stories set in backwoods or in the woods somewhere, in a forest or whatever. I just love those type of stories. So they had me there with that idea. But the problem, I think, with Shelby Oaks, which does have some effective scenes and a couple of, good scary moments for sure, and has a very dark ending. I mean, it was extremely dark. It was darker than I even anticipated and left me with a lot of questions, which I like. Other critics seem to have had they seem to have had a problem with how perplexing some of and a little opaque the ending is. But I think it was good. I liked how it ended. But my test usually for a horror film, and this one, like I said, is fair, is if you were to separate the story, the personal story of this woman looking for her sister, would that work as a movie on its own? And the answer is not exactly. There's just not enough going on. And there are a lot of scenes of her with a flashlight looking in this abandoned prison where a riot had happened and trying to get answers. And, of course, there's something that shocks her and she doesn't know what it is. We don't know what it is. I have no clue. And she runs off. So there are a few moments like that. But the scene, the fairly long ending of the picture really does work. And I was really invested in it. I wanted to be invested much more so than I was. But a lot more backstory could have been good. This film needed more story. And where it leads towards the end is the beginning of another story, I think. And Chris Stuckmann doesn't take it the extra mile. It seems that, to me, those scenes of her, of Mia, looking for her sister in these abandoned prison in this place and that place with a flashlight, could have been extremely shortened. What was more interesting was what was her relationship with her sister. What was that like? They could also have developed the social media aspect of it as a subplot. How people have these. You have people who are so full of anger online that they take it out on other people. And you see some of these comments that are being left on social media sites and news sites at the beginning of the film, such as, so they were really, they're really missing. Okay, they didn't believe it at first. A lot of these people that followed this YouTube channel, but it looks like they really were kidnapped. I hope they're dead anyway. That kind of thing. And you read comments like that all the time on Twitter and Facebook and so on. The movie could have expanded that and see how it affected Mia. I think that would have been really something. And I love where it went at the end. I just wish it took an extra beat. It went a little bit further. But that's just my opinion. I'm trying not to give too much away. If you're interested in seeing Shelby Oaks, it's worth seeing. Don't expect, and this is my own personal opinion, of course, in terms of the really great horror films that came out this year, Weapons, Sinners, The Monkey, I wouldn't say it's really up to that, but that's okay. You're going to find some horror films that are just fair. But this film is, to me, it's a great jumping off point for Chris Stuckmann. It was a film that started off, it was something I thought was only going to be on Blu-ray at the time because he got a Kickstarter campaign that was, at the time, a record, $1 million plus. And then Neon Pictures and Mike Flanagan got involved and distributed the picture and gave it, obviously, this theatrical release, which is amazing. I thought it was going to end up streaming only, you know what I mean? But it didn't happen. Neon Pictures picked it up, so that's pretty good. But in terms of Neon's track record for horror films, this one is just fair. It's fine. And I'm not saying that because I know Chris Stuckmann, because I don't. Never met the guy. I've always wanted to talk about films with him. He certainly has a good idea about what film is, and he has a very varied interest in films. I mean, he's seen a lot of different films, not even just horror films. So it's definitely worth checking out, I think, and seeing it in the theater. Not just to support independent horror films, it's not just that, but a guy who I think has a promising start. Listen, there's some people who feel, hey, if you're starting out making a horror film, you're not gonna, and especially one that seems a little bit derivative, to be sure. I mean, there's shades here of Blair Witch Project, Grave Encounters, a host of other things, of course. But I think that these two actresses, Camille Sullivan and Sarah Dern, they have a certain attitude in their performances. There's something there that I think, had it been more developed, it really would have resulted in something truly mind-blowing. And it just seems like it fell short of that expectation. And the ending suggests so much more could have been done. But nonetheless, a fair film, and I would recommend it, absolutely. So there you have it. Chris Stuckmann, he made it. Where he goes from here, we'll see. I give him props for, kudos, major kudos to this guy. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Have you seen Shelby Oaks? What do you think of it? What do you think of Chris Stuckmann as a director? As a writer, again, I think he could have gone deeper. I think that's the main thing. It's not badly written. It's just it could have gone deeper. It could have been more psychological. Like Hereditary, which I'm sure is, I do believe it's one of his favorites. And how you could separate the personal story from the horror. So that the personal story could have been its own film, and the horror just happens to be part of the story, if you know what I'm saying. Those are the best horror films. And here was really that opportunity to do that, to give it more of a spin than just the idea of found footage and looking for a missing girl. But the fact that they are sisters, this could have really been much more of a probing search. Anyway, those are my thoughts. So tell me what you think of Chris Stuckmann, and have you seen Shelby Oaks? If you are new to this channel, and please subscribe and hit like. Helps with the algorithms. And if you are already a subscriber, thank you. That's all I got to say about Shelby Oaks. And this is Jerry Saravia at the Movies, signing off.